everyone, I am here with a short story for you tonight. Tonight's story is actually shorter than they have been. It is by Harvey Scott, and it is called Search for a Lost Dog. One frigid December morning, I bundled up, grabbed my keys, and stepped outside. My 6-year-old Australian Shepherd ran in big, excited circles by the truck while I warmed the engine. Then he raced my old 4-wheel drive to the mailbox near the highway. We were good together. My dog and I, independent types, just the two of us, lived in my 23-foot trailer amid a wooded valley near the rugged mountains of northern Idaho. I survived without running water, commercial electricity, telephone, and many other things most would consider necessities. But I had my dog, and his companionship was all I needed. He ran the half-mile easily, kicking up clods of snow. Just before the roadbed, he stopped, spun twice, as was his custom, then lined up south with the snowmobile path that followed the grade. He stretched out quickly to a full stride and kept up with me, going 25 miles an hour on the highway that paralleled his path. Then he was lost from my sight as a wall of young jack pine came between us. We had made this run most mornings for 6 years, ever since my dog was a pup. For the last 4 of those years, he had been blind. Driving the 20 miles to town for supplies, I marveled at the way the dog had adjusted. One eye had turned moony from cataracts, and the other had soon failed. But his sightless fellow had learned to run through the timber, chase a cat, and catch about 3 yellow jackets out of 10. A sighted dog couldn't do much better. The closest I came to understanding his predicament was comparing how, as a kid, I played piano by ear in an old church where Dad preached his fire and brimstone sermons. I felt my way around the keys, sensing the combinations of notes, almost as if my fingers knew where to go. I pictured God guiding my hands along. It had been a long time since I'd let him guide me. Dad liked to quote in a booming voice, "The Lord is my rock and my fortress." I was taught to depend on God for everything, but as I grew up, I relied more and more on myself. When I returned from town that morning, my dog was not on the lane's end to meet me like normal. I knew my dog was in trouble. I went to the railroad grade to track him. He had sailed by scent marks, beacons left from countless trips. He grew careless, though. He had crossed the boundary of this mental map, the Blacktop Lake Road, now covered with a carpet of snow. I followed his tracks down the short, steep bank to the other side of the road where he had circled, realizing his mistake. He had gone back across the road to search out his trail and had missed it by 10 feet. Here I ran out of the tracks. I checked both sides of the road for another mile, but I found not one sign in the snowbanks. That night the temperature stood at 0. As I climbed into bed, I imagined my dog wandering the snow-choked road, searching for a familiar sound or smell as he strayed farther and farther from home. He would be easy prey for the coyotes. I knew this was going to be a sad one. But what could I do? I needed my dog, and he needed me. Pray. "The Lord is my rock and my fortress," said a familiar voice in my head. Then instinct took over, just as it had done when I played the piano. For the first time in ages, I prayed with a vengeance, as Dad had done. Rattling the gates, he called it. "God, have mercy on my friend, who has never been disobedient to me. And be with me," I added, "though I am strayed from you." One harsh storm followed another. By the 3rd day, I could not eat. Trips to the mailbox were torture without the old faithful muzzle nibbling my hand. Mornings before daylight, I patrolled the roads. At the least sound in the night, I threw open the door and slashed the darkness with the beam of my flashlight. At week's end, I struggled to accept what I knew was true. My dog was never coming home. I depend on you, I said, looking up at the clear sky. Whatever your will. Later, on the 8th day, my neighbor brought a message. A woman believes she had seen my dog. I harnessed my hope and went to meet her. Down the road, just through the gate of a snowbank, she said, pointing west. As I drove slowly, I saw that the tracks were thick. Many were blood-stained. Sharp ice and barbed wire lay hidden in the high snowbanks. A battle raged inside me. Everything within me wanted it to be him. Logic told me that it couldn't be. So, in my mind, I had buried him. I got out of my truck and eased through the gate. I stopped. The dog raised his head. My dog, his ears lifted, head cocked. I was what he must have been listening for these past 8 days. He knew my voice, as God had known mine. My dog jumped into my arms, squilling his greeting, a sound he had never made before. He didn't know it, but a miracle had happened. Dogs don't know of miracles, but there are people who know. I know. Now, wasn't that a wonderful story? Some people think dogs are just dogs, that they don't have feelings, but they do have feelings. They feel like we do. They cry, they mourn, they get happy, they get sad. They really do. If they've lived with somebody, if their master dies, some of them will mourn themselves to death. They're just like us. Just like us, and I wished I could make everybody see that. But some people are just like, oh, it's just an old dog. I hate when they say that. They're so much more than just a dog. You know, they're family. We had our little girl for 17 years. I still miss her every single day. I think about her every day. Her ashes are right over there with the stuffed animals. Like I said, I just recently stopped sleeping with her ashes. She died in 2015, and you see it's 2019, and I just recently stopped sleeping with her ashes. Sometimes I still do when I get really sad. My depression was really bad when she died. It was really bad. I was in a deep, dark depression I didn't think I was going to be able to get out of. I lost a lot of friends during that time. A lot of them didn't stick by me. And really, I guess I don't blame them, because I wasn't there for them. But I was so sad, I didn't care about anything. I just wanted to be with her again. And they're the same way. That's why that dog was so happy. That's why he made a noise he'd never made before. He'd never been lost like that and then found. He finally found his dad. He found his owner. And he was back in his arms. He was happy. They were both happy. And it's all thanks to who? To the Lord.